Welcome, George. 7 years ago, you put out a YouTube video that has since got 2.5 million views. And the start of that was a statement that said, I could never imagined what leaving it all behind would lead to. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, great to be with you, Chris, in conversation. Excited to adventure together. And yeah, I was 22, anxious, confused, not knowing what I was doing with my life, but I had ventured into the unknown. There was ignorance, but also a tendency to enjoy stepping into the unknown and enjoying adventure. And that wanting to heal, the fact that I was hurting and I wanted something to change, took me on a beautiful journey that we'll explore today, that I've been very grateful for, that has changed my life. And to sum up, one of the biggest changes that I've found in myself is, balance is possible. That although I hurt, I have a great potential to be able to meet myself with compassion. And I've learned a lot on that journey and continue to share what I've been learning.
And you started the YouTube channel like 2015, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, my first video was at university about trains, about whether trains should be private or public. And I was this young little whippersnapper. And I had a dream of starting a YouTube channel. And really it probably started when I graduated from university. And it created a mental health crisis for me because I was making videos I thought were good. I equated my value as a human being with the number of views I was getting. I wasn't getting any views, therefore I wasn't valuable. And a voice began to dominate my head around, The
Underminer.
The Underminer, a troubled wizard. And I was also single, living with my parents, not making much money, delivering food with Deliveroo. And this little voice was saying, you're flawed goods. Oh, and now you're anxious. You're pathetic. Look at everything you've been given. And I didn't know how to relate to that voice.
So that video that you did put out, it does go into this struggle, this challenge. And it's interesting that your YouTube journey got you into potential crisis, and then it also got you out of it in a way. How do you make sense of that, of like keep doing the thing that you know is causing you like this challenge, this kind of tension? And what I obviously see within that is the highlighting of what's already there? Or do you think it was just perpetuating it? Like, how at the time were you relating to this kind of sense of, do I just keep making videos? How do I navigate my way out of this?
The quote I love from Eckhart Tolle is, the what of our lives doesn't necessarily need to change. It's the how we relate to it. So the what can be the same. It could be the same job, the same relationship. We feel like we're in crisis. And then in our journey of waking up to really understanding the nature of our minds, our hearts, our consciousness, then the how we relate to the same thing, the contents of our experience changes. So for me, it was YouTube, but really it was a deeper question of like, who am I independent of what I do? If anyone has explored the Enneagram, I think it's a really powerful psychological profiling tool. And I'm a type 3, I'm an achiever. I was living in a household with a lot of love, but also battling parents, 2 sisters. And so the way that I got love and attention was either doing crazy, silly faces or achieving. And then, I was making videos on YouTube and they weren't being, successful by the metrics that were being given to me. And so then for that young boy parts of me that like, am I enough? Like if I work hard, then I'll be loved. We're getting triggered at that. And so the what for me was making videos, but the deeper journey was, right, who am I beneath all of these stories and judgments about who I am and what I do?
And how much of that were you able to understand or meet when you were away? Like when you went to where'd you go, Hong Kong?
Flew into Beijing and when I was 22 in 2017, and then went to the Wudang Mountains, which is this epic collection of temples and monasteries and kung fu schools, Tai Chi schools, all on top of a mountain. It's the birthplace of Wudang Kung Fu and Wudang Tai Chi. And I arrived not really knowing what I was doing with my life. I thought I'd watched some videos of monks doing backflips at uni. I wrote in my diary, go learn Kung Fu in a monastery. So it's as arbitrary as that. I'd never done any martial arts, hardly watched martial art films. But I was hurting, I was in pain, I was in anxiety, I wanted to change. I wanted to become stronger. So I arrived at this monastery.
Like physically stronger? Was there like an intention of I want to become physically strong, or?
I think also the mental dimension. So from my research, I had seen that Wudang was about internal energy cultivation. And I'd done a little bit of meditation with Headspace, but I had a sense that that was really what the deeper lesson for me was.
It's quite radical to do that, though, isn't it? Do you realise that? Like, it's not many people are going to do that, go on their own on this quest. Did it feel radical at the time? Or you were just in that much discomfort that you're just like, I just need to get away?
A phrase I love from the Tao Te Ching is, how do the sages, the wise people, achieve big things? Is that they don't do big things, they do small things. So for me, I wasn't really thinking I was brave or courageous. I was just, all right, I'm just going to book the ticket and I'm just going to go and see what happens and have fun. If I had really thought about it, then yeah, maybe I would have not gone, because it's like, this is such a big choice. And even, there's a little bit, as I made the decision of, okay, this is a big commitment, can I afford it? And yeah, not that everyone has to do these big adventures either. And we can talk about micro adventures and the lessons in the everyday, because that's really what all of this meditation, Qigong, Tai Chi, and these beautiful arts is really about, welcoming ourselves where we are, not escaping to somewhere. So yeah, it wasn't doing a big thing necessarily at that time. It was just like, cool, let's go explore.
Yeah, because even when I took a one-way flight to Singapore when I was 24. How old were you when you went?
I was 22.
22. Yeah. I had like a safety net of like meeting some friends, but it was still a big feat of going on my own. I couldn't even imagine like not knowing who I'd meet when I landed and like going into that territory. I just think it's important to take a step back of like, that's actually a pretty radical thing to do.
Just to illustrate how little I knew, I arrived at this monastery, big courtyard, swirly roofs. So there's a monk sweeping the floor, an old woman, and I go up to her, say, "Ni hao, Kung Fu," and she just looks at me like, "Who is this guy?" and just shoos me away. There's another monk carrying tea, old woman. I say, "Ni hao, Kung Fu." She just shoos me away. I later find that it's not a Kung Fu monastery. It's a female-only Taoist academic monastery, and foreigners aren't allowed.
Why were you there? What did you...
Well, just because I was like, Wudang Mountains, Wudang Kung Fu, monastery. I'll arrive. And I'm going to now ask to try and get into this monastery. And yeah, I just had done my research very badly, because it wasn't a Kung Fu monastery to begin with. And then, yeah, not speaking any of the language, I used Google Translate, asked the locals, hey, can you take me to a Kung Fu school? And they ended up taking me to a Tai Chi school.
Did you know anything about Tai Chi?
In my ignorance, I thought it was just for old people. And I was like, I'm here to break blocks with my hands and smash stuff up. And yeah, it's like Tai Chi, this slow meditation. I don't even know what this is. I met Master Gu. He was the teacher of the school, ponytail, goatee, played guitar, great big beautiful smile, and just happened to be the only master on the mountain fluent in English. And so then he became my guide, welcoming me into this beautiful world.
Where do you think you'd be if you didn't go there and you hadn't discovered this Tai Chi?
The other option was to go DJ in Detroit and find the source of techno. So I think my life could have been very different. I mean, I've always been passionate about climate and environmentalism and wanting to contribute. I've also been entrepreneurial, sold chocolate bars in the playground, made a DJ business. I had a video making company. So the original intention of the YouTube channel was, okay, I'm a clueless graduate. I know I want to contribute to a more beautiful world. Don't know how I'm going to do that. But then I quickly got anxious and went into the mental health crisis, where feeling shame about my anxiety, didn't share it with anyone, then was sick, like just unwilling to wake up in the world, not telling my parents about it. And then I was like, okay, I need to, nothing's changed. I've just been by myself for a few months, and yet I was feeling such intensity, and I don't know how to work with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't look well in the video. Which I think adds value in a way, because it's like this 22-year-old like really in it and then just figuring it out. Why do you think it got so much attention?
I think the realness and the, that how 6 months in China changed my life is like my coming of age story. It's like pain and not knowing who I am, which, all of us experience in various stages of our lives. It's on the journey for me as well. And I think there's a realness in that of like true innocence of I'm hurting, I don't know what I'm doing, but come join with me. And even, we have an 11-person team. I'm a filmmaker and passionate about making films, but not a single one of my films has had as many views as that original story. And certainly like vulnerability and like bringing people into my humanity, like not just, we explored Daoism, this stunning philosophy and such deep wisdom, and I share this wisdom. And it could be that I'm like the David Attenborough figure of like the voice of God, and this is how the world works. Whereas actually it's like, hey, here's some ideas. I'm adventuring through my life as well. I hurt as well. And do you want to come adventure with me? Because we've discovered some really cool things and I'd love to share them with you.
Yeah, do you think that's like the one theme in all that you do?
I call myself a wayfinder. So I'm on my way, and I hope what I've learned on my journey can serve you and the people that watch my content on their way.
I'd like to talk about when you got back from your first trip. How many times have you been there now?
3 times.
Okay, what happened on the first journey back? Because I traveled for 2 years and then I slipped into a big depression of like, wow, I've just had this heart-opening, grounded, quite a lot of needs met experience. And then I just like came to London. I was like, still had all these stories about how fake or not real that was.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, and like one example of in my trip in 2020, my niece was a year old when I left, and when I came back a year later, she doubled in size and could form sentences. She couldn't speak before. So I'd think like, oh, I've gone through all this growth, and then like my niece had doubled in size. Like amazing, the growth that can happen for the people when you come back. But if they're an adult, often their lives are the same. Like they've been working in the same job, and you come back and like I felt like I'd really transformed, and then just wow, actually basically nothing has changed, and it felt weird to then re-enter into those relationships. And I went through actually I'd say a theme of my 20s. I'm 30 now, and this really shifted in the last year and a half. But for a significant amount is loneliness and not finding my tribe, because I'd worked for myself, lived by myself, and then I'd go and be in nature, which I'd love and is important for my spiritual journey and my practice. But also then I'd complain living by myself in a cabin in Scotland, like why am I still single? I've got so much love to give. But that initial trip, it's like old friendships. I've changed, going back into the old friendships. And so there was a time of transition where I no longer resonated with them, and like honoring them, they're beautiful in their own way, but I didn't feel met. And so there was that journey of loneliness that really
no one talks about.
Like the spiritual loneliness. It's like, because you want to be met. The deeper you meet yourself, the more you want to be met in that depth, and then it takes other people to have done that work.
What do you think is important for people to know about that chapter also, other than the other time it takes for the awareness to be, and then the loneliness, and then to find your tribe, and also integrate the whole experience and then keep moving forward? It's like
my mission and organization is balance as possible. And what is balance? For me, balance is where all the different aspects of life work harmoniously together and continuously adapt as circumstances change. So there'll be obstacles in life, and balance can be a temporal thing. So I get knocked off my center. It may take me weeks, months, years to come back into equilibrium from that obstacle. So I'd say a theme from that time is, for me to give myself the grace to be where I am. I'm not a finished product. Not everything in my life is going to be sorted. And, the teaching of compassion, so embracing ourselves where we are. And there's still, today, still single, and I've done a lot of work on like, what are my blockages around that? and calling in a life partner and a soul partner, financially insecure, like the team's growing, but still holding that. What I am able to do now is really give myself grace. I love the word grace. It's like the grace to be where I am, to embrace where I am. Because it'd be a shame if like we go from A to B. One option is like, oh, I'm not at B yet, I'm not at B yet, like I need to be better, I'm at B. Versus, okay, there's things I need to work on or I want to work on, but can I give myself the grace of enjoying the journey?
Yeah, you have the problem or the obstacle, and then you have the relationship to the obstacle, and that often is makes this even worse. So, as you've mentioned it a few times, balance is possible. It's good because there's belief in it, and I think the belief is an aspect of everything we interact with, right? So like saying something is possible, when you get knocked off, it's like, I have to believe it's possible. Yeah. But I truly believe that it's also, nothing's ever static, right? You're never balanced, you're balancing constantly.
Yeah. Because like if I stand on one leg, there's all these micro corrections, there's so much movement within equilibrium. So the equilibrium of the planet, there's so much, like life and death and the cycles of chaos and order in the human world and the natural world. So balance depends on your view of okay, there's equilibrium at one level. So yeah, like the life and death and the cycles of being and non-being, there's a lot of carnage in that, but it is part of the overall balance of life on planet Earth. So it depends, how we're zooming in or out. And again, that word grace helps. It's like, cool, okay, I'm in a season of chaos right now, and that's okay.
As you have this mission and this awareness that it's not about the thing, it's about the relationship to the thing. And my words, not yours, but do you ever consciously put yourself in the situations to kind of test that theory, or, test the practice, putting yourself just sitting on the tube all day? Because there's this, the challenge I have with that is we are human beings, we are biological creatures, we are having this human experience, and we have needs and natural needs. And if I sat on the tube all day, like, I don't mind the tube, I just don't like who I become on the tube. So it's the environment that really impacts me. If I spend 2 days on the tube just going back and forth everywhere, I'm not going to be a very good, nice person to be around. So it will impact my nervous system, and it will change certain things for me, or create stress in my body, which manifests in my behaviors. So how much is it about putting yourself in the right environments for you to thrive, or changing your relationship to certain environments? And we're in London right now, so yeah, if you could pick apart that. Do you know
totally, I got you. Yeah, really beautifully expressed. Yeah, and I think there's paradoxes at the heart of so much of this work. So it's both the embracing of the present moment as it is, with total acceptance. Like, how do you get rid of problems? Get rid of the idea that there are problems. Then there's also needs that are sacred and important for us to be aware of and to nourish. And both of those things can be true at the same time. Again, the word grace of, okay, not all of my needs are being met, and I'm resisting, say, like for me, loneliness and not having my tribe, not having community, not having partnership. Loneliness is the message that comes from the unmet need of connection. So that's my experience of that. Now, there is the potential that I can be balanced with that loneliness. So I can say, cool, so I really honor that. Or if I'm not fully in that true balance, I'm resisting it. I'm like, I don't want to be feeling this right now. And, I'm in that little void of lack. Even if I can give myself the grace of being there, okay, cool, the little boy's taken over right now. There's a meta balance of allowing myself to be there. But if I was just to accept my loneliness and embrace it and not actually honor that, of like, this is a signal and a message that is important coming from my needs that are sacred and valuable, then I'm bypassing. So then, yes, okay, the loneliness is telling me to prioritize connection. It's like I would prioritize my mission and my work for, like 8 years. And now I'm in a season of connection. Or say the tube, that was the first example that came to my mind as well. It's like, yeah, there is agitation to modernity. And if we're feeling agitated in our nervous system, can we heed that signal and change our circumstance, or create the container of practices so that then we can regulate, so that then when we choose to enter into the world, we have got the tools and resources to help us glide.
And practically speaking, have you put yourself in a position where it's very uncomfortable just consciously to then test the theory?
Totally. And it's, a metaphor I love before I get to a personal example is the Eden Project, big dome where they have lots of different plants, for those that don't know. Then trees they planted, and they gave them the right water, right sunlight, right nutrients, but the trees kept falling over. Why did the trees fall over? There was no wind. So the wind is what pushes against the tree, so then it roots down, and so it's grounded. Without that resistance, then there isn't the strength. So same thing for us is actually stepping into resistance. And one of the challenges of the modern world is this desire for endless comfort. So yeah, stepping into the challenging conversation, stepping into pushing my body maybe a little bit further than I normally would do. And for me, yeah, I love like weaving. I've just moved from Bristol. I feel like a small town boy in the big smoke in London. And I enjoy, like, can I fully relax my nervous system as it's just like in the tube station, just absolute carnage. And so like I'm stepping in, I'm not escaping that carnage. And I'm using that as an opportunity to really expand my window of tolerance, the range of experiences that I can stay balanced with.
Mm-hmm. So that's the example of you and the tube. Any others?
Yeah, examples where I step into resistance. Say relationships at the moment. So one of my things is I've got high standards for myself, and I'm calling in a partner that can meet me in the depth of love that I can be met at, which is beautiful. But there's a shadow to that, which is ego and story of like, oh, she doesn't have this, and they're not good enough for that reason.
Also, when you do this work on yourself, we always look for the things to work on because it's got us here.
Yeah.
Doing that work on ourselves has got us here. So then it becomes a lens which we see others through as well. And it's like this slippery slope, self-development space that I'm definitely in as well.
Yeah, and I would consciously say, I want someone who can meet me. But actually, the unconscious is fear of connection because of my history of family, early relationships. There's a fear of intimacy with the feminine for me. So that has led me to a place of, okay, if I can't imagine myself marrying and having kids with this person, I'm not going to connect with them. Whereas actually now I'm stepping into, can I not be a people pleaser and say, hey, I'm really enjoying connecting with you, and I am just wanting to have fun and to keep this open and creating safety in my relationships through speaking with clarity. And for the little boy parts of me, that can bring up a lot. It's like, I'm going to hurt her feelings if I express what's actually here for me. And so, it's like continuing to step in so that then I'd let those young boy parts know, like, hey, I've got you now. You don't need to be reacting with such big fear because, we've got skills now that we didn't have when I was younger.
So how do you navigate that example of not wanting to rock the boat, but knowing that you're not bringing your full self? Because you said at the beginning around the philosophies that you embody now are really about welcoming your experience more and creating spaces for that.
Yeah.
So as we're on relationships, I know I can bring this as well. It's like navigating how much I challenge. I actually bring a lot. It's quite the opposite. I'm like the opposite of, there's people-pleasing tendencies. I think there's a spectrum of what that means for us. But then I bring a lot to see how someone responds, and I bring challenge just to see if I can get to know this person through this kind of direct question. And it really, it's also a result of my family communicating in that way. Like we communicate through direct challenge, being around my dad, my brother. It's like, that's just how we communicated.
Whereas my family was like, don't talk about it. Just, close the door and keep working was my, father's technique. And then, just like a lot of people pleasing tendencies in my family. So, it's been my work to step into like the truth connects me deeper, as opposed to me saying what I think they want to hear, but actually I'm not really revealing what's truly alive. And then with the nurturing of these younger parts, it's like, okay, there's parts of me that get scared and have the fear, and it's not like dismissing them, and I maybe didn't fully understand what you're saying, but it's like the wise self-leadership is how I talk about it. So it's the reparenting of my young parts with presence and consciousness, the seat of all of my experience. And that can be the leader of my internal world through meditation as the foundation, and then parts work to form a trusting relationship. So then I can bring those young boy parts with me. Then as they learn, like, actually there's a leader here now and I don't need to blend, I don't need to take over, then they soften because they feel there's trust. And then I have more space to actually show up as I want to.
I'd say it's important to have that teenager or that younger self riding up front in the vehicle, but they're not driving. And that's a really important distinction. And there's fear there for me in a relationship dynamic, that I think a younger part of me is afraid that like this person won't fully meet me. I won't fully be safe with them. So he's trying to challenge to understand who they are essentially. But it's like very early on, without actually just trusting that it will all unfold. So it actually just does the opposite. Doesn't create safety. It actually pushes them away, which is fascinating to try and compartmentalize that. But it's true. It happens. Yeah, man. Can we talk about your also public meet and greets and like intentionally going out and like, because it's so good. And we live in an age now that people just don't ask women out, and men just don't ask women out. There's a missing opportunity of actually being rejected, which is so important for young people. As there's a lot of noise about this online as well. And for context, I've set myself a challenge of approaching 100 women on the street this year, which is so funny. Like I'm getting less shy about it, saying it, but there's still like parts of me like, It's also a very masculine thing to do, of like 100.
It's such a, it is hilarious. And it's changed my life.
The 100th will be the one.
Yeah. I'm on 60 and it's completely changed my life. It's been amazing because I've just, had a lot of fear of, like, I grew up with sisters. I grew up with lots of female friends. But then if I fancied someone, suddenly this little boy takes over and he's scared. And like, I don't want to go say hi. Like, I needed an excuse. Once I've had an excuse, then I'm generally good at connection, but initiating. And I do, so I'd go out on the street and just like, if there's somebody that I vibe with and I want to, form a connection, I just say, hey, I know you're just walking somewhere, but I want to say I love your energy and I wanted to come say hi. And that's it. And
what's the general reaction?
Generally, it's like it's nice. It's a nice interaction. Like if they have a partner, it's like, thank you so much. That's really flattering. But I've got a boyfriend, or it's who's this guy? A little bit like resistance, or it's a really lovely conversation. And I've been on a few dates from it, which has been fun. And I do think, just as in the world of social media and isolation through technology, I have lost, and I do think we have lost, that ability just to initiate conversations with others and to feel a little bit of that fear of, okay, maybe someone's exciting for me. It's okay to have that. But what I have done through this process is just continually act anyway, even though there's the little boy parts that are scared, And it's opened up so much spaciousness for me. And in friendship and in socializing, I just feel so much more vibrant as a consequence of doing this. Just one caveat of like, there's also, women do experience catcalling and attention when they're just wanting to go home. So like, to be aware of that and to name that. So it's like, really, what is the intention there? It's like, my intention is to create a fun, safe experience of connection for this person and really honoring them. Yeah. But also then, overcoming a little bit, there may be a little bit of resistance inside and maybe a little bit for them. And that's also okay to work with that, so long, for me, as the intention there is of care.
I want you to start the biggest online, maybe not online, in-person community that actually discusses these things and actually and empowers people to go and ask people out for dates or even friendships. You like your energy.
Yeah.
I want to be your friend. Like, where are you hanging out? Like, what do you do? Like, actually just in-person chats, not just like messaging on DMs.
Yeah.
So, but there's definitely, when you speak to the caveats, I'm like, yeah, maybe not after the sun goes down. But it's like we live in, especially living in London, like there is a reality. Do you approach like women if they're in a group? Is it always a woman? Generally they're on their own?
Generally, yeah.
Because you don't want to interrupt, like if they're out of friends or...
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. And it's inspiring. Is that like, could I do that? That's the question I ask. I'm like, I could step into a circle and talk about my trauma, and that is a different edge. But like to go out on the street and actually see someone who I fancy and actually ask them out, it's like, I don't think I could do it, but I wouldn't be getting to 60.
Yeah, and I do think for its own sake it is a beautiful practice. And for me, like, the chances of me meeting, I'm calling in a soul partner, someone to voyage with, like devotional relationship is important to me. And I've had one long-term relationship for 1.5 years of my life so far. And the chances of me meeting that person on the street, with the spiritual depth and meditation, that's important to me. It's like I want to voyage in that with someone. So the chances of me meeting that person in the street, quite low. But what it's done for me is there's now an effortlessness of like, if I'm at an event and I fancy someone, I will just go and be take more action around that. Whereas before I might see them like, oh, she's nice, and not take any action. Now it's like, cool, she's nice. And there's almost like no hesitation now. It's like, cool, just say hi. And often because we're at the same event, it's a lot easier. Like, oh, how did you find the class today? Oh, cool. Like, how long have you been coming? It's like, it can just be a friendly, doesn't need to be romantic, and probably shouldn't be in that circumstance because, you're at the same thing. So just connect. But for me, that has become so much easier.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for speaking to that, because we've chatted a few times about it and I find it fascinating. I think it's really important. And it's also a bit of a manifestation of the work you have been doing and the things that you do create. And it's someone who's actually embodying the truth that I see. It's like someone, as we kind of led onto it, it's like, do you put yourself in those situations that are challenging? It's like, yeah. And how much wind do you want to intentionally create for yourself to know where your center is and to know who you are? I think we need to be doing that way more and way earlier. Like, my kids are going to be going through some quite challenging situations to develop a relationship with discomfort. Yeah, man. I'd like to get back onto the Tao though, and Tai Chi, because I don't really feel we've defined what it is, and I think you could definitely do that. So you could talk about Tai Chi or any kind of aspect of this. Is important to like define what it is or isn't, and speak a little bit about the practice as well.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we could start with the Tao. So the Tao of Daoism. It's also spelt Taoism. We basically spelt it wrong in the 1940s, 1920s, when we first Romanized the Chinese characters. So, for example, tofu is tofu, Taoism is Daoism. Or
sure, we
Daojia.
just didn't try and steal it or like rebadge it and just make it our own. Yeah.
So, what's the Tao of Daoism? It literally translates as the way or the path. So, it refers to the ways of nature. So, when we understand the Tao, we understand the ways of nature, and then we can harmonize with the world as it is. It refers to the ways of the cosmos. The Tao refers to everything within the universe. And also it can be a small Tao, like the Tao of Chris, the Tao of George, the Tao of knitting, the Tao of Kit Kat Chunkies. Everything has its Tao. So when we understand the Tao, which comes from awareness, when we see clearly, we understand the way, we gain wisdom, and then with that wisdom, we navigate life with skill. The consequence is a natural ease, joy, and balance. So that's the general framework of what waking up with the Tao means. And Daoism, so I like to say I'm exploring Tao without the ism. Tao, the way of nature. Daoism is stunning, beautiful philosophy from ancient China. And Daoism has created an integrative, holistic way of understanding ourselves embedded in nature. And they have created practices to help us stay in relationship with our true nature. So meditation being at the core, and then Qigong, moving meditation with the breath, Tai Chi coming from the martial art culture, also a moving meditation, singing, calligraphy, chess. There's so many different aspects to the Taoist culture. And I lived in the Wudang Mountains, which is one of many sacred mountains in China, which is a Taoist mountain, which for thousands of years practitioners have come to cultivate the Tao, to learn the ways of the Tao.
Wow. So the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong, that wasn't so clear. I feel like they're both moving meditations. They're quite slow.
Yeah.
But
So
one,
what is Qi?
Qi is your energy moving through your body.
And there's another meaning for Qi, which is the breath. So Qi, same character as the energy that powers the whole universe, and the breath. So that's quite fascinating. That intuition, that the spirit and the breath and energy are related, is found throughout the world. Ruach, for example, in Hebrew, is the word for spirit and for breath. To take an inspiration, to breathe in, it's the same root as inspire, the spirit. So the same word in the Roman language, Latin as well. So Qi is energy or breath. Gong is practice, energy practice, breath practice. Qigong forms are slow, repeated moves, moving with the breath in order to cultivate energy. And then you have Tai Chi, J-I, Tai Chi, which is a martial art slowed down, where you're present with your movement. And the difference between Qigong forms and Tai Chi forms is the Qigong forms are, I repeat one move 8 times, and then I move on to the next move. Tai Chi is a flow from A to Z, where I've learned this whole form, and it comes from the martial art culture. Both fit in the umbrella of Qigong.
When you say A to Z, what does that actually mean?
So for example, the Wudang 28 form has 28 moves.
That's it.
That's it. So then you learn that form.
It's like a series.
It's a series, exactly, like a kata and
Bikram.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Kind of want to visualize it. And you teach this on your platform? Is that right?
Yeah. I'm a Tai Chi teacher, Qigong teacher. And
how long would it take for me to actually get that? Nail it?
I love to share Tai Chi in a way where it's about embracing yourself exactly as you are, no matter your fitness, stiffness, or headspace.
Good answer.
So it's about, hey, you're doing it like a robot, and if you can love that robot, then that's your Tai Chi, and enjoy moving just as you are. So yeah, you can get it immediately. It's like, if you can be in the presence of the move instead of in your thinking, am I doing this right?
How long are the movements? Are they just simple, like in, out, like?
If I were to stand up, I could show you, but say like the form I often share, this is fire, this is water, wood, we push out. So each move, metal. And so yeah, like you can get it within one session. Now, if we're talking about the martial arts and the Tai Chi that I've learned in Wudang, that does take time. It took me months, for example, to learn the 28 form. And the beautiful thing about eventually when you get it is that form that took me months to learn. Now I just sit back and enjoy the ride, and the whole form comes out of me.
How long does it take to? I know I'm being very militant. I'm just so curious, actually, of like what it looks and feels like.
Yeah, the form is 5 to 8 minutes, and yeah, it's just like this beautiful journey of like yoga is about the straight body, and you know, so in this plane of motion you fold over, fold forward, whereas Qigong and Tai Chi is the wide stance. So you're in the horse stance, and then as you open your hips, you have this kind of yin yang S curve, and then that's where you spiral the energy up through the legs and then out to the hands, and that's where your power comes from.
And what are your thoughts on yoga when you draw that distinction, when you think of asanas, when you have your depth of understanding of how the body, maybe it's even figure of 8 patterns, twisting, turning, and what's the like, can't think of the word, but like rotations essentially in the body, coiling.
Yeah.
Which, like, learning more about natural movement, that is how we walk, and how we, if you look at apes, and they will do this kind of coiling motion to like get more power. So yeah, which yoga is not.
I love yoga, and for me yoga is the foundation of my flexibility. You don't necessarily build flexibility through Tai Chi. It's the expression of your body as it is. So yoga is a really beautiful way to develop flexibility and strength.
To sit for a long time. Is there that kind of overlap to doing this practice, doing these meditations and movement to allow you to sit in meditation? Is that a part of Tai Chi? Is that a part of like...
It's not as explicitly as like the asanas of yoga are there to prepare you for seated meditation. It's not as explicit as that. I see Qigong and I see Tai Chi as a way to express your divinity, to express yourself and your body through presence. So, you know, I do seated meditation every day. I think it's super powerful. It's helped me develop the clarity of my mind to understand the nature of consciousness. Then from that presence that I have, the flexibility from my yoga and my calisthenics, you know, strength from calisthenics and animal flow. Then with that foundation, then I get to move my body with Tai Chi. Tai Chi does have core practices of kicking, and there are flexibility practices, which are good as well. I personally really love yoga. It really works with my energy.
What aspect of your life has it dramatically improved that isn't related to kind of the Tai Chi and the Dao? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's maybe surprised you, that's really elevated a part of your life. Not relationships.
I love to do Tai Chi in nature, and maybe when I was 25 I'd be doing Tai Chi in a park, and I'd get self-conscious and shy about the fact that I was the only guy doing these weird wiggly moves in a public park in a city. And now I really don't mind. I even get a bit of a kick out of it, which I need to kind of notice with the ego story of like quite enjoying.
With your balance as possible t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's QR code on the back.
Yeah, on my forehead. Got a stamp. So yeah, that ability to like, hey, I'm being me and I'm not showing off. You know, I'm naming those little parts that do enjoy, like the little boy parts that enjoy being seen. So we'll name that. But when I'm in presence, I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it to be in my body and to be in flow. Then there can be parts of that come up and be, you know, they're self-conscious. Like, oh, you're taking up too much space. Like, what are other people going to think? They're going to think you're stupid. Play small, be small. So to be seen in doing improvised movement, so not just following a form, but to actually drop into the present moment and to allow what comes up to come through, has been a very powerful learning that has affected so much of my life.
Yeah, beautiful. Take us through your day. I want to because I know we've been living together for over a month now, and I don't think I've asked you that yet. I'm actually just really curious about what perfect day in the life of George looks like in all the aspects. You can share as much as you feel cool to.
So my morning practice is MMA, and it's not mixed martial arts. It's move, meditate, affirm. So I wake up and I move my body. So it could be Qi Gong, it's often hip openers, and it could be dance. And then I meditate, and I do around 30 to 40 minutes in the morning, seated practice. My meditation is generally starting with the breath, slowing it down. There's a practice called Daoist true breathing, which is where your breath is so slow that you can barely perceive the air coming in and out through the nostrils. It's a really beautiful, deep breath. And then I fade into choiceless awareness. So, yeah, maybe the breath is the focus, but then it softens into the whole field of my experience, and training my mind to not just be stuck in my head thinking, and I do have an active mind.
It's 8 a.m, you're having peak experiences.
Yeah, it's stunning. I love it every morning. I feel so blessed. I feel it's like tapping into the limitless unity of the cosmos every morning. I do, it's such a precious experience. And then I do affirmations. So I, as a British person, grew up really looking at the Americans, giving thanks to all Americans, of their tendency to you can do anything. If you want $1 million, imagine it every morning and say, I have $1 million. And now I'm actually totally team affirmations, because it's the technology to work with a storyteller, the storytelling mind. So, maybe my affirmation for a while was, I can't meditate because my brain's too active. That becomes my affirmation. If instead I say, my mind is not agitated, it's activated. I'm removing the judgment, and I embrace the activation and energy that is here for me. Or one of my classic affirmations I've been saying for years is, with compassion, humility, moderation, integrity, I serve fearlessly. And I do that every morning. And I do the body movements as well. And so for people on their journey, this isn't true for me now, but I know for a lot of people, when they start, it's it doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel authentic and sincere. And this is where parts work, I think, is really helpful. Okay, there's a part of me that doesn't feel this is sincere. Can I say this from a part that does believe in my, fearless potential? And you're giving space for that part that does believe, and that word belief that you used earlier, that does believe in these things of, I am whole, I am, for relationships for me, it's I'm not behind, I've been building my mission, and I'm more magnetic than I have ever been. So that's what my affirmation can help with that part. It's why am I still single? And, those parts.
Just on that, because I think it's something I want your thoughts on. What I have heard is, if you create an affirmation and then do not believe it, you're bringing awareness to the fact that you don't believe it. It's kind of there. You might be speaking the words, but you're actually, and this is where you talked about the parts work, but I'd like to hear a little bit more on that, for people that just are bringing things to their awareness, thinking they're going to work, but they just bring in more awareness to the fact that they don't believe it. What's useful for that process?
Yeah, because it's I am whole, I am joyful, I love myself. It's if you're just reading that off of a piece of paper and you're not in it, you're actually reinforcing the lack of those things, because you're creating an inconsistency between your words and then the felt experience. So the invitation, and you can do a ritual before you do the affirmations, is I'm giving myself permission to truly be in these words as spelling, just for this moment. And I'm going to be in the presence of these words. And if literally the moment I finish, I don't believe they're true anymore, that's okay. But for the time that I say them, I am calling in these energies and I'm being present with them. So the feeling is so important. I have to actually be in it, not just reciting something, because that's just empty. Because the brain cannot distinguish between that which is imagined and that which happens outside of us. So we are creating new neural pathways of, say, compassion as a response. The more I meet my challenge with compassion, or I give space to my challenge, I'm reinforcing that neural pathway. And then it may be that actually the affirmation isn't right. Like if it's feeling really insincere, and even with that ritual of like, I'm going to give myself permission to be in this just for this moment. If it still feels, like I am whole, or I love myself, if that still doesn't feel true, two things. One is to write down, like, when I say this, what are the thoughts that come up? And to keep breaking it down. So, how could I be whole when I'm financially insecure and still single, or whatever the story is, just get it into writing. And then thoughts create beliefs, beliefs create stories, and stories create our destiny. So if we work backwards, our destiny comes from our story is made up of beliefs, and then the beliefs are the consequence of many thoughts. Yeah. So then if we get to the awareness and keep drilling down, like, okay, what are the thoughts that are preventing me from dropping into this affirmation, then that can reveal a lot. Secondly, is then to change the words. Maybe actually I am whole that just doesn't feel possible right now. So maybe a gentler one would be, I intend to meet myself with a bit more compassion today.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, thank you for breaking that down. It's very powerful. And you coach, right, as well?
Yeah, I work with now mainly leaders who, disconnected from their purpose or feeling burnt out. And we go deep into rediscovering balance.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about the events that you put on? Perhaps it's possible you've got a series at the moment. How long is that going on for? And just give us some insight into you in person and what that means.
So I am now teaching weekly in London, and it's Balance is Possible Live, where we explore Qigong, Tai Chi, and Daoist philosophy, parts work. And then I also hold retreats as well, Awaken Your Potential. And
you just launched dates for next year?
20th of February in London and the 25th of June in Wales. And they're very powerful containers where we come together 3 or 4 days with an intention to transform something, and with the power of community and these ideas that we explore and the practices that we explore. It's about awakening your potential for joy, balance, and compassion.
What are the biggest challenges on those retreats that you find? Do you ever get any resistance of because how long are they? They're quite
3-4 days.
4 days. Like what would you say? It's like some of the challenges that do come up.
And the beautiful thing about this world of healing is that everyone has their own truly unique story and challenge that they come with. Every single person is the expert in their own life. So it's not about me fixing people, or, it's really creating the space and the container and the right questions and the right ideas and practices for people to have their own breakthroughs and to awaken their wisdom that's already within them. Some of the challenges can be, like the intensity that people are bringing. And like one example from the retreat last year is just somebody really working. We do a beautiful practice called Meeting the Wise Self, which is a journey to de-armor and go beneath the story and to meet the sacred consciousness at the heart of every human being and every sentient being on our planet. And that can be a very deep journey, because the ego can be, I'm not letting go of this story. Like, what do you mean there's something beneath me? It can be resistance. Then also rage and resentment of all the harm and trauma that has happened to, these often innocent children, and then us carrying that wounding and baggage into adulthood. And so then to touch that can be really painful. So then, my role is to, can I be in the divine masculine of consciousness and pure presence, and to trust the sacredness and perfection of the journey. There can be little boy parts of me that somebody's releasing and raging and crying, and they're are they going to be okay? And then for me to nurture that little boy part who's scared, and it's okay for that, there's an intensity coming up, but to trust the medicine, trust the perfection of the journey that's unfolding. So then my role, and I'm deepening into it, and I was holding 30 people last year, and in Wales it was amazing, but it really was inviting a lot from me. And the inviting a lot from me is really inviting me to soften and to release into being held by that which is bigger than just George and the ego and the small story, but to soften into the big story, to be held. And then for me to be that medium and opening through which people then can connect with their own presence and divinity and spaciousness that is already theirs, but it's just the thinking mind can create constriction and disbelief about whether it's truly there.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's a big one. I truly know that we all, including myself, have so much attachment to like the pain that is in the way of accepting that I am divine, or I am love, or I can connect to my heart and this moment. And what's in the way of that is like being a victim fundamentally. And yeah, having all these stories that create so much tension in my life of like having to do this, needing to work on that. And I imagine a lot of people that come, like they have some awareness of what's holding them back, but what's holding you back is actually, can you even let go of that for a moment and accept that you are like a divine? And I can't even imagine what that process is like, just to allow like 30 people to go into that space of like just trying to access what is really underneath it all.
And just like the word victim, I think is an important one. And to give one example from my own life, could I give you one of my David Attenborough impressions?
No. Yeah.
Which is written about my own experience of dating somebody earlier this year, and yeah, just not really feeling seen, and little boy parts getting triggered. Here we observe a fully grown human male in emotional turmoil. The woman he was dating did not celebrate his spoken word poetry in precisely the way he wanted. He feels abandoned. He did not realize it at the time, but this is due to a childhood wound, craving after his mother's love and the pain of not receiving it. In previous iterations of himself, he may have posted passive-aggressive Instagram stories, but now things are changing. He does something remarkable, rarely captured on camera before, going to therapy. A sign of emotional evolution and just maybe hope for the species. So the abandonment, and in my therapy, like I had this image of like I'm a little bird in a nest, like help me, I'm this like I need to be saved, I've been abandoned, and playing a victim. And that part actually taking a pleasure in being a victim. It's like if I can be saved, that means somebody who loves me cares about me. So it's actually a strategy to receive love, is to play the victim. And again, that's okay. It's like with awareness, okay, I have a tendency, if I'm not seen, like my mum celebrated me a lot, which is great, but that was how I was modeled love. And if that isn't how other people experience love, it's not that they don't love me, it's just that we're loving in different ways. And if I can then acknowledge and reparent that part and say it's okay, like there is love here. Or it can be, there is an important need to be seen here, and maybe this isn't a right match as a consequence. But either way, it's that wise self-leadership of nurturing what's here, and then from that place of spaciousness to then choose.
Do you think that's more prevalent in men or women?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, from my experiences as a man, I mean, like, I guess the man does want to kind of be seen as like, man do thing. Look at
What's
man.
this accent?
This is like caveman.
Okay.
Man kill animal. Yeah. Look at big animal that I killed. And yeah, but then also, yeah, they're like, I think
that validation and that need to be seen. Yeah.
Then it works the other way of like, yeah, like like the radiance of the feminine is like that also wants to be seen by the masculine. So I don't see that necessarily as gendered. I think that need to be seen as...
For sure. Yeah, I obviously see it through the lens of me, and as a man, not going through any like transitional point where I know I have to do it alone kind of thing. Like not having a demarcation of like, okay, no one's come to save me. I'm going to do this on my own. So I need to give that love to myself and stop looking outside of myself to get those needs met. And I think that was definitely an important thing to me to acknowledge. But yeah, it can definitely work in the same way for women. But also, yeah, it's very nuanced. It's like women, their life depends way more on asking for help and being supported by others. But then for men, it seems like the psyche seems to like act in a different way of like, we are on our own, but then like that gets us into trouble too. So it's like a fine balance is possible of, yes, we're on our own, but we need to be in a circular community and be amongst others. Yeah. Anything to add on that?
Yeah, it just feels very true. Yeah, it's that reparenting again. It's like, yeah, I don't need somebody outside of me, but then there's also needs that are coming up of, yeah, they need to be seen, they need to be supported, celebrated. These are all beautiful. Then it's the dance between the two.
I would say if you don't end up contradicting yourself in the end, you've not looked hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's amazing. Just
two things can be true at the same time, and the left hemisphere, the rational thinking ego has trouble with that, but the right hemisphere of integration and connection knows that paradox is at the heart of life, and that's okay.
Yeah, I'd love, we have a bit more time to go into, you mentioned a few times the financial insecurity. You've mentioned that. I don't think I've even heard that label before, but I obviously know what it means. But how is that? How are you working with that right now, and how are you navigating it?
Balance is Possible has 11 team members now, 11 salaries to pay, which I feel so grateful for, from the community that we've built. You know, we've never taken any outside investment, and all of the revenue that we make is from mainly the online Tai Chi Academy, our events, and through serving the needs of our community, we then have the needs of the organization met, which I'm deeply passionate about. And instead of asking for donations for our films, and we're on this mission to inspire balance for people and planet, I'm deeply passionate about what we're building and what we're doing, and believe the messages that we share have a really important role to play, not only in our personal healing, but collective healing. And we're growing, but we're also growing our team. And there's just, too much month at the end of the money. Yeah. So payday is pain day at the moment. It's just, I'm hoping to get another bank loan approved of £30,000 in the next 2 days. So it's really alive. And so it's very tight, super tight. Then how do I work with it, and how do we work with financial insecurity generally? I think it is helpful for me to really focus on money in certain seasons. It's like I'm mission driven, and so I've been working on these big films, and I love that. But then actually, we're not making enough money. So we are ultimately a content business. It's like, but how do we make a successful content business? Is through serving a community, and like consistently serving a community, instead of doing 3 big videos a year. It's like, okay, what is a weekly way that I can connect with the community and create a lot of value? And so if there wasn't that financial challenge, then I would be staying with the longer form films. So then the more general question is, okay, so the scarcity of the money, like what are the opportunities? Like, and what are the beliefs around making money? It's like, I'm not good at making money, or money's not important, money's the capitalist machine corrupting me. If these are the beliefs, then we block our ability to receive. I'm sure there's challenges with money that we can talk about. But can I get out of my own way of the blockages of me manifesting money, and then really see with clarity, cool, okay, there is tightness right now. How do I make more? My affirmation being I'm good at making money. I enjoy making money. And so then deep trust. Okay, given the level of money in my bank account right now, I maybe could be more anxious than I am. And even yesterday, I signed up for a new training to unblock some of my stuff around relationship. And I was in like a down dog yesterday for about like a child's pose for 5 minutes, just like, whoa, there's not a lot of money in my bank. Like this does feel indulgent and like, but then, just like really committing to knowing like if I did have the money, what would I be doing and what would I be building?
Are you worried about the perception of that?
Expand on that.
So someone sees you booking these trips, indulging in your own inner work when you have wages to pay.
I think it's more around wages to pay. I've got 11 team members. Say if they've got 4 family members each, that's 40 people that need me to pay for payroll. And, I'm taking credit out. And, we've created a successful organization and we are growing. So it's an investment. I'm taking this credit out. It's not just, there's a reason why I'm taking this credit out. It's to invest in the team. And sometimes you need to spend money to make money. I'm not recommending that for everyone. It depends where they are. Like actually sometimes we need to cut back with our spending, but then my energy in the videos that I make and the balance is possible, for me to really embody what I share, that is the foundation of everything. And so I do see this is a time of growth and investment.
I think it's important. I love that you speak transparently about this aspect of your work. And also just to celebrate you for creating this without any investment. Like it's very, from what I know, challenging to do. And creating, the biggest
Tai Chi school in the world. Yeah.
Tai Chi school in the world. It's impressive and it's worth celebrating and honoring from that point. How do you navigate it in terms of, do you have a coach? Do you have your therapist? Who holds you whilst you're seemingly making lots of choices, decisions, impacts, balancing it all? Like, where do you find support and what things do you have in place to make sure that you're held accountable, like, etc.?
Yeah, and it's so important. I have a range of mentors and coaches and therapists, and they support me in different ways. So I have 2 Taoist mentors, my 2 Tai Chi masters, 2 Taoist mentors. Then I have an IFS therapist, internal family systems therapist, who does parts work with me, and I love parts work. That therapy is very powerful for me. Then I have a business coach, and I had a manifestation coach for a while. And I find with coaches that I can maybe have 8 sessions with them, and I've kind of unlocked a lot of stuff with them. And there's kind of the initial time with them is this rocket ship of knowledge and information, and then there's a diminishing return. And I find, okay, I've kind of completed my chapter with that person. So having that support is really important. And I think for me to embody, integrity is really important to me, and to be real in my vulnerability, so I'm not pretending, and also then to continue to drop into, the calm, relaxed nervous system in the midst of life. I think that's the balance that is possible for most of us. I'm not a monk that lives in a monastery for years and meditates. That's beautiful. I no longer say I'm an activist. I'm an advocate for our potential for balance with ourselves, with each other, and with the planet. And so, for me to embody that balance as possible is to have that relaxed nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is getting support and asking for support.
Why don't you say you're an activist anymore?
Activist for me implies fighting and implies opposition.
Is that an issue, problem, or was it for you?
I don't think it's a problem for everyone. I think for me, I want to speak to I want joyful clarity and love. I want to unify instead of divide. And the activist energy, it creates opposition. And there's definitely a space for that. There's so much injustice in the world. And I, could speak more. Well, to give one example, one of my impressions is Donald Trump. And I did a little bit of an impression about him going to therapy. And there's a lot of controversy in the community around that, because there's a whole range of people that follow my content and, from America that like Trump. And, it could be, and I took those videos down. And you could be like, well, why are you filtering yourself?
Yep. Just because you like someone doesn't mean you can't laugh at them.
Yeah, but I think that, if I'm to lose those people over me mocking Trump, which I basically was, I was kind of saying, if he had a spiritual awakening, what would Trump say? Which I feel I was pretty soft. God, the hands are in me now. But it's not actually the love. I think there's a deeper transmission or a vibration that I want to share and make films from. And if I was to lose those people through mocking somebody that they love, and it's like they're God almost, I would not want that. If the ideas of love and unity don't resonate with them because of their worldview, and they don't like that, then that's fine. But I felt specifically with this that wasn't in the true alignment of the mission.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
To walk.
Yeah.
Online presence, a lot of noise, a lot of reactivity, a lot of comment sections.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't envy.
And it's okay to, somebody saying I hate you is really saying I have a different worldview to you and I don't agree with you. And great, totally. I don't want everyone to have the same worldview as me. It's great that you have your own worldview. So it's fine to have those responses. But then when there was enough, I was like, actually, I do want to heed that. And I think I could be more skillful.
Beautiful. Thank you, George. For what you do, for what you create, for how you show up. And is there anything we've missed today that you want to speak to?
I'm grateful for you, and the love and care that you have, and I sense it in you, and for the community that you're building and the people that you're serving. And I know that we're on similar paths, and our dear audience and listeners and viewers, yes, that the most famous line from the Tao Te Ching, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. A tree wider than a man's embrace starts as a single seed. So although, there can be parts of me that despair at the ignorance and the seeming reversion from our potential collectively, or maybe the parts of that will despair about my own healing or the healing of our viewers, these things take time, and can we give ourselves the grace to just keep stepping in day after day, show up for our practice, show up in love in the best capacity that we can, and to do that for its own sake, not just to try and get to some faraway destination.
Radical. It really is. It's a radical thing to say. I think in this time, to just really be grounded and embodied in the statement of I stand for love, I stand for peace, and that is the way I want to live in the world. It's so much dishonesty, and even moving to London these last 6 weeks, it's just around very different kinds of people, and there's a lot of masks that people wear out of fear, out of challenge and disassociation, whatever the cause may be. It's real, and to just I see that in you. I see someone that's really doing that work and wanting to stand for something real, and not just stand for it, but really do the work to embody it fundamentally. So thank you, brother.
Honoring you.
If this was the way of the Tao Te Ching, how would we end it?
With a Tai Chi salute, fist with the left hand, palm over the right, and a bow, and honouring all beings, the lineage of Daoism, Tai Chi, and ourselves for showing up with compassion and to keep stepping in.
Well, it's the Chris Geyser podcast, so we end with a hug.